Push Pass Nation. We are back. We are back. Come on in. We have Mr. Havis Badui with us, or as we would say in Dominica, Havis Badwell. We have a full program for you this evening, so come on in. We have so much to talk about. So tonight we are talking about American Airlines, American Eagle, landing in Dominica, supposedly for the first time. We'll get into that. And we are also talking about the important scams to look out for this Christmas season. And you know, Mr. Badwell, Mr. Badui is one of our most requested guests that everyone wanted him to come back and be a part of the program. So don't forget to share the live. Of course, if this is your first time joining us, I am Simone Matthew, and this is the platform Push Past 10, where we stop by to celebrate and promote who we are as Dominicans. So we share and promote our people, our culture, and our products and our businesses. So go ahead and share the live. Let everyone know we have a lot to talk about this evening. And I also promise we're going to get to some of the questions that we were not able to get to last time. So let's jump right into the program. Bring on Havis so we can get this party started. Havis, Sagabet.
Muela, Sakafet, Jawuzu.
And as we would say in Dominica, compliments of the season to you.
Hey, no, why do we say that? Compliments of the season. And
what are you supposed to say in return?
And many happy returns, and they have to give you a glass of sorrel.
Yes, you just earned your Dominican card by remembering it's many happy returns is the answer. Yes. So how are you?
I'm fabulous. I'm always excited to be on your show. You know, yes. I put my Christmas tie on. You know, I dressed up for you. I got all designer stuff on. I got a
yes, and we appreciate your decoration too. I have no decoration.
I know that is a compliment of the wife, Sandy Bardui. She's the one.
Good job, Mrs. Bardui.
Yeah, she did a great job. But I got my hat on. I got everything designer, even my socks.
Oh boy. Well, you're the finance guy, so you can afford all that nice stuff.
Wow. Messy appeal.
Yes, but anyway, we have so much to talk about. So I see the Facebook audience is coming in. So we wanted to remind them to share the live, let everyone know that we're here and we have a lot to talk about. So yesterday was a big day in Dominica, right? So let me put it this way. So we saw the return of American Eagles to Dominica.
Yes.
Right? Because I say the return because I vaguely recall that when I was at Midwestern State in Texas and I wanted to go home, I used to take American Eagle from Puerto Rico to Dominica.
Sure did.
So am I not quite understanding what's going on? So just what's your view as a financial guy? Does this make financial sense when we look at the price of the tickets? Just let's have a discussion on what we saw yesterday.
I mean, it's exciting for some people. People are getting excited about it, but you are correct. When I lived in Boston, where I grew up, every time I went home, it was to San Juan, and we took the American Eagle, and he dropped us, you know, at Melvin Hall, you know, which is what it was called at the time, and you know, so now it goes to the mainland, which is Miami. But what if you live in California, or if you live in the Northeast, you still have to take a flight to Miami, just like you did to San Juan. So I don't know how feasible it is. I think the American Airlines is not doing this for free. So somebody has to pay them out of Miami. Some people, I saw some posts on Facebook for some people from my village and some people that I know very well. And there was so elated. Flights from San Juan, Puerto Rico is the United States. So some people were acting like it was so new. So I told someone, I said, I mean, what's the big deal? It's been happening before. Well, if you're in Miami, bravo. But I think, I don't know how feasible it is or how fiscal responsibility works in Dominica, but someone has to pay extra because it's a longer flight and fuel. I mean, maybe some concessions were made to American Airlines. I don't know. But I think for those in Miami, they're probably happy. But I didn't have a problem going to San Juan. So somebody's paying somewhere, and I don't know who's paying whom. That's my 2 cents on it.
Yeah, and that's a good point that you raised because I too am excited. I mean, we all want to be able to get to Dominica quicker, and especially in terms of the tourists that we're trying to attract, it is certainly a good idea to have direct flights to Dominica. But
Mhm.
I think we want to make sure that people have the entire picture because if you live in Miami, it's a great idea. You can hop on that flight and be in Dominica by what, 3 p.m.?
Something
But
like
if you don't live in Miami, like we don't live in Miami, I live
that.
in Atlanta. So it means you still have to buy a ticket. It's not a connecting flight, as far as I understand. You still have to buy a ticket from Atlanta or wherever you are to get to Miami and make sure that you're able to catch that flight. There's no delay in your previous flight to catch the flight, or else you're going to be stuck in the same situation as before. You're going to have to overnight.
And one of the things you made a great point, Doc, because I'll tell you this. I know when we travel, I remember a few years back we went on a cruise. We went to Dominica. My wife always likes to leave a day before and spend a night in a hotel just in case, because she's not missing her flight. Especially she loves to travel. If she's going somewhere, she doesn't want to miss it. And in San Juan, I remember one time I went with my mother, or when my grandmother died in '03, and we were coming back up, and we missed our flight from San Juan to. I was taking it back to Orlando. I'm Jacksonville, Orlando. I can't remember. I think it was Orlando. And then I flew from Orlando to Boston. But the thing about it was we missed our flight. So if you're going from Atlanta, I mean, I would be flying from either DC or Virginia, to get there. I mean, if I have family there, but what if people don't have family? You got to stay in the hotel, in not the hotel or in the airport. Again, I'm not against it, but I'm not going to be doing cartwheels because it's something so great. People are acting as if, oh, wow, great things are happening in Dominica. Well, I think Dominica has bigger issues than having a flight from Miami, and we won't get into that. But I believe that, it's under this administration. Some people may not like it, but it is what it is. And I say, bravo for them. However, I'm not going to be doing cartwheels because I could have still gotten to Dominica the way I was doing it prior. So, it is, I mean, I'm not going to put a monkey wrench into it. I'm just going to say, c'est la vie, mon ami. That's what we say. That's life, my friend.
Yes,
That's
absolutely. So I completely agree, and we see the Facebook Live audience is coming in, so we want your thoughts on it as well. But I completely agree. Kudos to everyone involved who got it back on track. But I was just a little perturbed when I saw that it seemed like it was the very first time. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I got the impression it was American Airlines, and then I realized it was an American Eagle. Because
right.
in my mind, I was thinking, how are we going to land a jumbo jet in Melvin Hall? And then come to realize it's the same American Eagle that was flying from Puerto Rico to Dominica. And I'm not taking away the fact that this is important. This is a good thing.
Right.
But I'm just saying, let us not pretend that this is the first time that American Eagle is coming from the US and landing in Dominica. Am I the one who's off on this?
No, I don't think so, Doc. I'll tell you this. Prior, when I used to fly to Dominica, like I said, when I booked my flight, I was paid up. I didn't have to buy another ticket. I remember one year in '04 when the Boston Red Sox won the World Series, I kind of like went Dominica on a hinge. I took a bus from Boston to New York. When I got to Port Authority, I took a cab to JFK. Then when I got to JFK, I took a flight to San Juan. When I got to San Juan, I took a flight to Antigua. When I got to Antigua, I took a Liat to Dominica because I wanted to get to Dominica for Creole Fest. Back then, I used to party. But I'll tell you this, now you have to buy 2 tickets, I think. And I would think it's cheaper from San Juan to Dominica than it is from Miami because it will be closer, right? But I don't know. All I would say is this, Doc. I'm not going to be the one who spoil the joy of everything.
Right.
But as someone who's thinking about it from a fiscal point of view, somebody's paying extra somewhere, or there's some concessions that's done. You ever notice in America when professional football teams are building their stadiums, they usually want tax write-offs or taxpayers to fund it. And these guys are multi-billionaires. And I will tell you this, in business and finance, people don't like using their money. They like using other people's money. And in Dominica, the other people's money would be the constituency of Dominica.
Yeah, and the other concern I have, Havis, about this is we will get folks who are willing. I think it's like, and correct me if I'm wrong. We have a lot of people on Facebook, so I'm going to jump on the comments in a little while.
Right.
But correct me if I'm wrong. I think the price is about 2,000 US from Miami, right?
What?
And I'm just thinking maybe US tourists might be willing to pay that price, but us average citizens, I mean, when somebody told me 2,000, I said, "Is that easy?" And they said, "No, US."
US.
And also, we may be able to load the planes coming into Dominica, but locals live in Dominica on a consistent basis, going out of Dominica at that price. I'm just kind of wondering. I'm happy. Yes, I'm happy, but I think we have to be cautiously optimistic, right? How long will this last? Will we be able to continue to fill those planes? We have 2 flights right now in December, and now in January we're looking at 3 flights. So I'm happy, I'm excited. The hotel industry is going to do fantastic, right? But will we be able to maintain that? And I'm going to jump on the Facebook comments while you're responding.
Sure. And I'll tell you this, Doc, 2,000 US is $5,340 EC. Now, if someone's making $5,340 a month in Dominica, they're actually doing well. I think that's probably like a principal in a school or something like that, or some other people, right? Because I don't know what's the salary of the PM, but I'm saying there that who can afford that? You have to take a loan, go to your credit union to take a loan to come to America. And I'm saying most people, no disrespect, most Dominica, Florida has a lot of Dominicans, but there's not as much as Dominicans in Florida as there is in New York, Boston, and the Northeast area. I just think so, or even the Midwest, like Texas or Atlanta area. But it is what it is. I mean, I'm a Dominican, and I'm going to applaud it, but I'm not going to. I say again, Doc, do cartwheels, because $5,340 is a lot of money for individuals. I mean, the average Dominican, what's their monthly salary? It's probably less than half of that. The average.
And somebody on the Facebook Live, please correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm just going based on what other people have told me. So I have to admit, I have not done the research on this. So just full transparency here. So if anyone on the Facebook Live know of the price difference, then I would really appreciate if you correct me. So we have Euclid Roye. She said, "Preach," and this person is in Miami. So lucky for them, they're in Miami.
Yeah, she is. I know who she is. She's
right.
she's right in Miami. So good for her.
Brother David says most of those flights you're talking about overnight flights from Miami. Cecilia Phipps, good evening, everyone. Euclid, I'm not trusting anything Scaro does. Okay, that's her opinion, not mine.
Same here.
Let's see who else is here with us. Jackie, Cecilia, who is your cuz? Okay, not sure what that's about. Teresa and other people are watching. Let's see. Can everyone hear me? Because someone said no sound, so I hope everyone can hear me. Brother David, I'm looking at some flights for next year, and everything I'm finding from Miami to Dominica, Grenada, St. Vincent, and the Grenadines, they are all overnight flights. Alvin Peltier, good evening. Roslyn Best, good evening. Beverly Johnson, always great to see you. Alexander, I can never pronounce your first name, but great to see you. Carla Amor, so nice to see you. Let's see what Carla has to say. This has nothing to do with living in Miami. People had to do all these steps, then also pass through San Juan, okay? This is not even worth the conversation. Simply, this is a momentous occasion for Dominica. We should celebrate, and all government has worked towards this. So, Carla, absolutely. I think we are celebrating. Right. I think we are happy, but I think we have to be truthful that this is not the first time American Eagle is coming from the US and going to Dominica. And I also think we have concerns that we don't want people to think that it's a flight from wherever you are that's connecting to Miami and going to Dominica. The flight, as I understand it, originates from Miami to Dominica. So you still have to buy another ticket to get to Dominica. And I think that's the concern, because when I lived in Texas, I would book my flight from Texas to Dominica. So the Puerto Rico portion was a part of the flight. So it was one flight.
A segment, one segment of the flight.
Yes, Texas to San Juan, San Juan to Dominica. This is a different system. You have to book a flight to Miami and then book another flight from Miami to Dominica. So I think we have a legitimate reason to have a conversation about this. You know, I have an audience of about an average of 18,000 visitors a month. And I think we have a responsibility to our people to help them to better understand what this means. Your thoughts, Havis?
Well, Doc, I have to agree with you, because I think it's really important that sometimes people sometimes think that if you are objective or you try to have transparency, it's kind of like, oh, you're against. Not necessarily so, because we clearly stated at the beginning of the show, you know, bravo. I said I'm not going to be doing cartwheels because Puerto Rico is the United States of America. I remember during the election last year, you know, I was talking to a guy and he was talking about the Puerto Ricans, and I said, you know, they're U.S. citizens, right? The guy didn't even know. And so I'm saying it's the same thing here, that we've been doing it before, and I didn't have a problem going through San Juan because I know we did not have an international airport. And I think, and to be honest, I don't even want to go in that conversation of international airport. But the point is, Dominica is kind of still a virgin kind of island in terms of what we have, and I would like to see it stay that way, but involve more tourism for people from Europe and especially North America and Canada, US, you know, and all other places to come through. But like you said, the way I understand it myself, it's not a connecting flight. It's a direct flight so you have to buy a ticket to Miami, wherever you are, and then you have to buy a ticket from Miami to Dominica. And in the past, what we're saying is when we purchase our ticket, it was done. I've flown from JFK to Dominica. I've seen flights for sometimes $600 and something. You know, all it goes down through San Juan. But now again, we're applauding that it's straight from the mainland, but we can have a discussion about it. And it's not, we're not complaining, nor are we blaming anybody or talking about politics. We're just saying that, you know, it was happening in the past. So, you know, that's
you know, I think my brother Wayne said it the best. You know, in a case of an emergency, I need to hop on the flight and get directly to Dominica. I'm likely to book that flight for $2,000 from Miami, but let us keep all options on the table. So, for example, how does this booking 2 tickets from Atlanta to Miami and Miami to Dominica compare to if I took Delta to maybe Guadeloupe and then took the ferry across? Exactly. So I just want us to make sure that we are weighing the cost and benefits of what we're doing when we're having this conversation. So which one makes better financial sense? Should I fly, for example, my mom flies from JFK to Guadeloupe via Delta, I believe. I could be wrong. And then she takes the ferry from Guadeloupe. Yes, it's maybe a longer voyage, but in terms of the economy, and it's great, maybe for the tourists, it's really good to be able to get there within one day. But keep in mind, you're gonna have to catch an early flight from wherever you are, and early flights tend to book up very quickly. So you gotta catch an early flight, make sure you get to Miami, make sure you get your bags, and make sure you can catch that flight, which I believe leaves about 11, 12 o'clock to get to Dominica. So we're just kind of just putting all the options out there, ensuring that people have the information. So you have any thoughts on that?
Yes, Doc, just for 30 seconds. And this is a wallet, right? You have to know your wallet, what you can afford. So if there are Dominicans here who are very successful and they're doing very well, you know, and they can afford to do that. But like you said, if there's an emergency and you have to go home, boom, you can do that. But there's a lot of Dominicans who are here who can't afford $2,000 to fly because they're complaining if it's $1,000 from New York. You know, so I'm just saying, bravo direct flights, but this is a financial show. All we have to say is watch your wallet because you're the one who controls it, not
Yeah.
American Airlines, not the Commonwealth of Dominica.
Yeah, let's take a couple of comments before we move on. So we have Fred Cancel is watching. Jennifer Fidel Johnson, always great to see you. Catherine Sandy, they are both of the same American Airline and American Eagle, absolutely. But if I recall, I heard it was American Airline that was coming, and it's American Eagle. So just pointing out the correction. So no harm, no foul in that. Kennedy Bowers is watching. Let's see. Shanna, great to see you. Let's see who else we have. Marie Seraphin Beverly. Let's see. Hi, Dr. Simone and guest. Awesome program. I watched the landing yesterday. I did too. It was quite a ceremony at the airport. Absolutely. Valina Challenger. Nice to see you. Clyde Gregoire. Yes, you get the flight, but for how long will the government subsidize this flight?
Sorry
So,
about that.
Havis, that's kind of leaning towards what you were speculating about. So let's read that again. Yes, you get the flight, but how long will the government subsidize this flight? We don't have any information on whether this flight is being subsidized.
We just want
we can have an
transparency.
educated conversation about this. What do you think?
I think, as we're citizens of, I'm a citizen of Dominica, I was born there. People's like, you left over almost 50 years ago. Well, I'm a Dominican. And all I'm saying is, transparency, just let people know. If there's a deal, I mean, sometimes governments have to make deals, and I understand that. But you have to weigh the cost. In any business model, you have to weigh the cost. Because if it's making dollars and it's not making any sense, there's a problem. And if it's making no sense, but it's making dollars, that might be good. But we just don't know. And I'm not here to speculate. I'm not into travel. I'm not into tourism. I'm not a minister. I'm not anything. Maybe one day when I retire, I can come back and run to be Prime Minister of Dominica. But as of right now, all I can say is that someone has to subsidize the cost. And American Airlines, are you trying to tell me that American Airlines, a multi-billion-dollar company, one of the largest airlines in the world, is going to give Dominica concessions because they want to go to Dominica and there's not even an international airport? No, it's a smaller plane. No, it doesn't work that way. You have to look at it from a financial point of view. And all I'm saying here is bravo, that can happen. But folks, watch your wallets and let the government give us more transparency in how it's being funded. That's all. That's all we're saying.
Yes, and here's what I love about my Facebook audience, Havis. They're very quick to correct us when we are not on the right track, and I appreciate that. So we have Valina Challenger. Good evening, Valina. Nice to see you. But Madeline Brady says people on board stated it was $800, not $2,000. So we really appreciate that. And Brother David also said the price of a round trip ticket is $830 from Dominica to Miami. So I truly appreciate everyone who's jumping on the conversation because this is what we're here to do. Cheryl Joseph, nice to see you. Edson Sorrento, Kai Bell, great to see you. Let's see here. Someone said we were being negative, but again, okay, so Marva Charles, why all this negativity about the American Eagle flight to Dominica? Please be positive for our country. And Hevis, this is where, I take challenge because sometimes simply having a conversation sometimes always seems like an attack to some of us. And this is what this platform is about. We can have a conversation. We can disagree. It is not to bash one side or the other, right? It's about transparency. Let's put the information out there. See how we accepted the correction.
Exactly.
Right? So one person told me it was 2,000. Here we have people who went and looked into it because I didn't have an opportunity. They made the correction. We're accepting the correction. But keep in mind, you still got to buy that other ticket.
That's right.
So let's not negate the fact that you still have to buy another ticket. So that is what we're here to do. It's not about being negative. We are celebrating the fact that we now have another option to get home. I haven't been home in 9 years. I'm ready to jump on that flight.
I hear you.
Right? But let's ventilate. Let's put the information out here. Let's get each other's feeling. And most importantly, let's get all the information out there so we can make a better choice.
And Doc, I'll say this, and so we can move on. But for all our viewers who are watching, I want to make this very clear. You know, two things about Dr. Simona and myself is that we're very transparent and we
Yes.
want to give information. But check this out: the art of the deal. If I'm doing a deal, I have to look at what's best interest for me, not for you. If you're selling your house and I'm buying it, well, I want to lowball you, and you probably want to raise it up to the appraisal. But we have to come to a common ground. So when negotiations were being made, if we can have a ticket back in the day from Boston to Dominica, and it was one price, maybe the art of the deal, whoever was negotiating could have tried that. It might have been a little more, but at least you're set there. That's all we're saying. And we are Dominicans. We are celebrating. We're not mocking, nor are we saying, oh my gosh, they have a flight. We're just saying that from San Juan was the US as well. And we're just saying that it's a direct flight. However, you have to pay two different tickets to get there. That's all we're saying.
Yes, just being completely transparent, because when I have to be honest, when I heard about the flight, I assumed that I was going to be able to take a flight from Atlanta,
right,
and have a connecting flight in Miami to Dominica. So it's just really about transparency and ensuring that we're educating our public. So let's see, Dominic, good to see you. Andre P, who's fortunate to live in Florida, great to see you. Naren Murphy, always nice to see you, hearing you loud and clear. Let's see, Carla Amor says, you have people coming from the West Coast on red eye to Miami to Dominica, no overnight. So thank you for that, Carla. I'm happy we're able to have this very open discussion. Curtis Lugay is here. Nice to see you. Catherine Sanley, how would you know what's the truth about this Miami to Dominica regarding the 2 tickets? Well, let's see, Catherine, that is our understanding, that it is 2 tickets. It's not 8:30, no matter where you are in the US. So that is our understanding on that. J. Anna Williams, nice to see you. Karim Fabian, great to see you. So someone is asking about the tickets, and maybe we can have someone from American Eagle join us to give us more information, because I think this is a great opportunity to engage the audience, to have the audience ask these questions and get a direct response. So if anyone knows anyone from American Eagle, we would be more than happy to have this conversation. Sabria Senhouse, my sister, always great to see you. Sean Newton, let's see. Madeline Brady, regardless of how you choose, it's another choice for our people, isn't it? Absolutely, you're correct. The more the merrier, and you're getting there in 2 hours and 45 minutes if you live in Florida. Excellent point. Thank you for that. Jennifer Fidel, Cardinal Airlines had a direct flight from Fort Lauderdale to Dominica years ago, but sadly the airline no longer exists. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for your excellent comments and for your feedback, and also for correcting us on that bit of information. So Hivis, thank you for sharing on this particular topic. And, we're here this evening. I just want to make sure I'm looking at all the comments. We're here this evening and we're talking about scams to look out for during the Christmas holiday. And while we have the audience here on Facebook, maybe they can tell us some of what they have been exposed to, because we're here celebrating good news. And chances are we're so distracted with all this great news coming out of Dominica that we may not be paying attention in some other areas. So if anyone is interested, and let me go ahead and try to share my screen so you can see what we're talking about. We're talking about the 12 scams that you should be aware of this Christmas. So again, all about educating our audience, ensuring that you have the information to make the best choices. So Heavis, you can go ahead and get started on your end while I pull up the screen. Just tell us some of the things we need to be looking out for this Christmas season?
Well, Doc, I think the first one says misleading social media ads, and sometimes what happens is that even if you're tech savvy, you still could be misled. Like, for example, like today, I got a text that says your package, this is the final notice for your package. And first of all, I don't order stuff online, really. I know I have a lot of family and friends who do it. I don't really do it. Um, I may, if I order something online, it's more of something for work in terms of getting another license or paying something, online. But people have to be very, very careful because companies pay a lot of money for cybersecurity, but you have people on the dark web who are trying to manipulate, control, and hurt you. So therefore, if you get a text or an email or you see something on social media, for example, you'll see stuff like, oh, you can get $500 gift, a Walmart gift certificate. Now, if everybody in the United States did that, well, how many people in the United States? 350 million? They can't give $500 to everybody. It's impossible. But the point is, we see those things and we get excited. And just because you think it's free, it's not free. There could be misleading ads. If you're not sure, call the companies directly or go to the companies, go to a Walmart and find out if that's really what it is, or go to whatever the company that you you think is promoting something special for you. Because social media, it's great. It's the way of the future. If you're not part of it right now, you're behind. You're not behind. You're behind the eight ball, and you're doing something wrong. But however, you have to be very, very, very careful, and always check with your BBB, the Better Business Bureau. There is a locality in every state, in every city. You can check and make sure that it's legitimate. Because if it's not, you might get in trouble. So it says misleading social media ads. It says the most common cons, and the category with the most victims are ads on social media that offer items that claim to support a charity or offer a free trial. Man, my mother used to say, there's a lot of Dominicans watching this. And as she rests in peace, she used to say, free is about worriness. In other words, something free will worry you. And it's true. So you got to make sure, like charities, if you give to the American Red Cross, that's legit. All right. But make sure that you're on the right side. Usually when there's a catastrophe, a lot of people create GoFundMes and they go online and they do all these different things. But most importantly, I think it's really, really important that we double check what we have. And it says the Better Business Bureau says victims never receive the items, are charged monthly for something they've never signed up for, or receive a counterfeit item that is much different than the one advertised. Always check the Better Business Bureau. And I know people that has happened to, and people are ashamed of it at times. They don't want to say it. They don't want to tell you about it, but it actually happens. And I don't know what to say, Doc, besides that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, excellent, excellent. Thank you for that. And then the other thing I also wanted us to touch on this evening, Havis, is we had a great conversation the last time you were here. And of course, you're going to be a frequent guest because you are the sponsor of our program. So we have the sponsors as tdnradio.net as well as Badui Financial Services. And let me go ahead and post that to our message area or comments area so everyone can see. But we had quite a few questions come in on our last program,
Sure.
And I want to make sure that we touch on those this evening. So for example, someone wanted to know the difference between term and whole life insurance. So can you give us an explanation on that?
Sure, I'll give you the short version. Term is like renting, and whole life is like owning. So if you're renting a car, it's term insurance, because after the term is over, a day, a week, a month, you have to return it, right? Or if you bought a car, you make your payments, the equity that you get is after you finish paying for it, you own the car. It's the same thing in the insurance industry. You have to use common sense, but remember, both will pay. it depends on the needs of the individual. For example, you have a kid in school, you have, like my parents, it was 10 of us, some of us are close in age. And the funny thing about it is, back in the day, what if we grew up in America and we are all going to school? It would have been nice if my parents would have had a big policy in case something happens to the breadwinner, the kids can still continue their education. So that's the difference between whole life and term life. One's you're renting it, the other one you own it. And in your home, when you own it, in your home, you build equity, right? That you can borrow against. It's the same thing with whole life. You can build equity, and if you structure the whole life properly, you can actually use it as a bank, and you can fund a lot of things, both secondary education, business ventures, investing, real estate, whatever you want to do. So that's the basic difference between term and whole life: owning and renting.
Right. And then someone also wanted to know what is cash value insurance?
Okay. Cash value life insurance, we call it, my mentor, Mr. Douglas Aze, said it's king. All right. And what that means is that you can't get cash value life insurance in a term policy. So in other words, if you're renting a car, you can't own it because you're renting it. But a home, you're paying the mortgage, you have a 30-year mortgage or 50, whatever you have. And after it's done, you get the deed, right? Entitled to the home. So you actually own it. It's the same thing with cash value life insurance. What it does is when you make a premium with a whole life or an index universal life or a variable universal life or just a universal life, there's different categories of permanent whole life insurance. What happens, a portion of it goes to the premiums and a portion of it goes into a savings that you can actually access. If you structure it properly and you use it through loans, it would be tax favored to you. If you go and withdraw it, then it becomes taxable because life insurance is tax free. However, if you structure it properly through loans, you can actually access it tax free. And that's what I do. And a lot of people, I'm trying to educate people in doing that. Now, the difference between the two is this, Doc. We said earlier, the term, it's less expensive because you get a bigger bang for your buck. You have 10 kids, you want to get one policy and, but if you have to get 10 policies, 10 whole lives, it might be more expensive. So building equity is key. You always want to own stuff. You want to own it. You don't want to just rent it. Sometimes renting is good for a period of time. But when that time is over, can you afford to continue paying?
Yeah, and I know quite a few people were interested in reaching out to you after the last program. So I'm sure you got a few calls. And if anybody wants additional information, Havis's phone number is posted in the comments section. You can give him a call. This is a great time to be planning for next year, because let us look at our financial situation at the end of 2021, right? Is that where we envisioned when we were doing all those New Year's resolutions back in January? Is this where we envisioned we would have ended up at the end of the year? And I followed a lot of the advice that we talked about during the program. For example, one of the things a lot of our audience was talking about, well, first of all, my credit was already frozen.
Right.
I did my annual credit report. I do that at the beginning of the year. But the one thing I was not doing is having an alert on my credit card. So I went ahead and I went online, very easy to do. Yes. Went to my I only have 2 credit cards, went in there and set the alert so that anytime my credit card is used, especially if it's used internationally, I get an alert. So just simple steps that we talked about. And of course, if anyone is interested, you can always go back to the video from November 4th, which is when Havis was first here. And you can take a look at that video to look at all the important tips that we shared during that video. So I have another one for you, Havis. I only have 2 more, and then we have to get back to that American Eagles conversation. Right. We have a lot of comments still coming in, and I don't want to ignore them.
Right.
We had a question about why not just get term insurance plus a Roth IRA?
Great question. That person is very smart. I want to make this very clear. This is what certain people don't tell you, and I won't call your names. You know, they have national syndicated shows. Um, one's a man, one's a woman. But what they don't tell you is simply this: you're capped. If you are making $1 million a year, for example, or let's take it down, 300,000 or 500,000 a year, and let's say you're kind of frugal, but you can only put a certain amount in. Wouldn't it be great if you could put a lot more in? And people think, well, a Roth, what if you're a young person? You can't access it till you're 59 and a half. Yeah, it's going to be tax free, but then also you may have it in securities, stocks, bonds, mutual funds that fluctuate, go up and down. Remember what happened in 2008? The point I'm making in 1987, when the market crashed, all I'm saying to you is that if you have a mortgage, you have kids in school, and you're financially challenged, you know what? You can get a term policy if you wanted to hedge against losses in case you become disabled, or for living benefits, or you prematurely pass. But the reason I don't like that option that person asked is I want to be able to put as much as I can put. Let me ask you a question, and to that individual: the wealthies don't have 401ks and Roth IRAs. They don't, because they're capped. You have to think like them. You have to start, there's a book that I said I'm going to send to some people. I ordered it for you, some back order. I should probably call my mentor and get copies for you guys. But the book,
What's the name?
I'm going to tell you the name of the book. I have it right here. It's called Creating Generational Wealth.
Mm-hmm.
Creating
Author?
Generational Wealth. What the super wealthy know that you need to know.
Who's the author?
Douglas AC, like two abbreviation A and C. His last name is Eze, Eze, Douglas Eze, Eze.
Okay.
Douglas
I'm gonna put it in the comments.
Creating Generational Wealth: What the super wealthy know that you need to know. So the person who asked that question, no disrespect to them, what you have to do is learn the rules, learn what the super wealthy do, and you mimic it. And the thing about it, you don't have to put billions and billions like they do, because you may not be worth it. But what I do know is simply this: I do know if I had an option between a Roth IRA and the cash value life insurance, I would do the cash value life insurance, not because I'm licensed to do it, because as my income increases, I can add more. You can't do that with a Roth IRA. You're capped. And then what if you're 40 years old and you have there's a business venture that comes up for you? Let's say you're young like Dr. Rose, you're not old like me, Dr. Simone here, and you want to invest in some real estate, or you want to purchase a business back home or whatever. Well, if you have cash value life insurance, you can take a loan from it and pay it back unstructuredly. You can't do that from your 401k. No, sorry, your Roth, because remember, there's specific rules to borrow from retirement accounts. You have to have some kind of disability, your first home. There has to be some kind of drastic medical bills. But I don't like controls. I don't like people controlling me and telling me what I should do, what I shouldn't do. I like to be the one who makes all the decisions. And one of the reasons I try to teach people about what I do is, man, own nothing and control everything. That's a different discussion. We can have a different day. But what I will tell you is simply this: there's people I know right now. Last night, we just saw a young lady. She's about 27 years old. And she'd saved over $150,000, and she's saving $3,000 a month. We showed her, when she's my age, she can be a multi-millionaire and she can access it tax-free. But remember, Roth IRAs is after-tax contributions. IRAs is pre-tax contributions. I am not telling people don't do it. What I'm saying to you, I wouldn't do it because I understand the concepts. And for you to learn more, I can't tell you everything on this show, and I can't tell you in a DM. Schedule a free virtual consultation with me via Zoom or this platform right here. And if you in my local locality and you don't want to do a Zoom, I'll come to you and we'll do it. And we'll talk and I'll show you specific cases because most people think that they're doing the right thing, but they're doing what they know. Remember, you got to know what the super wealthy knows. You got to know the rules because if you don't know the rules, you can't play the game. And that's what I say, Doc. That's why I say that answer to that question.
Yeah, excellent, excellent response. And then the final one that I pulled from our last program on November 4th was we talked about the credit union being a better option for saving. You have any thoughts on that?
Yes. First of all, I don't think you should save in any financial institution like a bank or a credit union. But hear me out very carefully what I mean by that. If you're in Dominica, yeah, you're not here. It's different, all right? Different economies, different everything. You should have an account. And here you can have an account too. You got to pay your bills, right? You need a checking account to pay your bills. But don't save in those vehicles. Use it for your direct deposit for work and then put it in cash value life insurance. And the reason why I don't like to see you in those large commercial banks, because if you don't keep 50,000 or 100,000, they charge you fees. If you don't keep 5,000 or 10,000, they charge you fees. Credit unions will give you free accounts as long as you have a direct deposit coming in. And if you live in a municipality, if you're a veteran, you can join. There's different ones like USAA or Navy Federal Credit Union. All of those, you need those banks to get a mortgage, all right? And those credit unions or a credit card. But I don't, because what are you going to get for interest? 0.010, 0.015? That's chicken feed. What I'm saying to you guys is simply this. Learn the concept of becoming a bank. And if you don't understand it, I'll be happy to show you. And what people think sometimes when I say I'm happy to show you, they think what I'm doing is I'm saying them they have to do something. What I'm trying to do is educate you. I'll convince you that's the best option for you, but still your choice. And remember, the more knowledge you have, knowledge is power and wisdom is force. So if you don't know, you can't play. So what I'm saying to you guys here, if you're going to bank with a bank, do it with a credit union. Don't save in a, you might get a little better interest in a credit union than a bank, but I think it's more beneficial to you, especially for loans. There might be a little more, their lending might be a little more, especially if you belong to a consortium or, a municipality, a university, in Dominica, they have the different little credit unions. It's good for you. And I think if you're going to save money in a bank, use the credit union instead, because the banks and the credit unions are not going to tell you to put what I'm telling you, because they make their monies with what? Fees and interest. And that's how they get you. Why don't you become the bank and you get the fees and interest? That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, and we have one comment, and thank you for getting back to the questions that everyone raised during our last program. I thought it was important to follow through on what we said we were going to do, which was to respond to those questions. Maggie has a question on this program. She says, what do you think about the religious institutions like TBN who encourage their partners or listeners to add them to their will? What? That's true? Especially the senior ones. Oh, I did not know this. Thank you, Maggie, for that question.
Maggie, awesome question. Oh, man.
My. Did
I have
not
to
know
go back
that.
and watch. I have to go back and watch the show and watch the comments. Maggie, awesome question. But Maggie, there are some people who are going to live something for their church. Some people are very religious. Personally, I want to do that as well. There's a company that I represent, right? And with the death benefit, there's a rider where there's a charitable giving rider where they will match up to a certain amount that you gave. Let's say you left $15,000 for your church. They would match up to, I think, about 30% of that as a rider that they would give to your church. And some people want to, it doesn't have to be a church. It could be a fraternity, a sorority, any charity. I don't know, the American Red Cross, American Cancer Society, any place that you want to leave something to. You can certainly do that. And I don't encourage people to be duped and they don't know what they're doing when religious organizations say, well, you need to put us, well, it's not every religious organization out there that I would support, but I can't tell you which ones to choose. What I'm saying to you, it would be nice if you believe they're credible and if you believe that they're doing a good job. For example, if you're a Roman Catholic, you might want to do it to your local archdiocese. If you're Seventh-day Adventist like myself, you might want to do it for your local church or your local one of the schools or colleges or universities or hospitals. If you, I don't know, a Jehovah's Witness, you maybe want to leave it for the Kingdom Hall. I don't know. What I'm saying to you is do your research, but don't just blankly, just because someone came on TV and tell you, because I have a problem when you see preachers
On
having
TV.
planes
Wow.
and having Rolls Royces and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
No. If you're a preacher, you should be humble and not be doing that.
Yeah, Jesus Christ was a carpenter.
Exactly. All of us, if you're that wealthy, all of us should be sharing in that wealth. But I think a lot of the churches, and I'm not picking on any church, by the way, folks. What I'm saying, there's a lot of churches that do a lot of good and you can do a lot of good yourself. If you go to your local church, you can have your own little charity, feed the homeless on Thanksgiving. What my wife does, she goes in town and she gives a book to read, like a Steps to Christ, and she gives them a $5 or $10 in the book. You can do all different kinds of ministries. What I'm saying to you is that don't just blindly give to these mega churches who are, I just don't believe in that, because a lot of them are, and I'm not picking on anyone per se, I'm just making a point. A lot of them do a lot of good, but sometimes look at when they had the floods in Houston. One of the big guys, I won't call his name, he would not even open his church, I heard.
Yes.
And then eventually he opened it. All I'm saying is,
Yeah,
man,
I remember clearly.
What would Jesus do? All I can tell you is that there's a way that person should contact me and we can have a deeper conversation about that. And we'll talk about charitable giving and how you can get it as a writer and have the insurance company also add to whatever you want to leave for your church. Because a lot of older people, their church is their life. A lot of young people, they might go to church, but they ain't living no 50, 100 grand for a church. But as you get older, I guess you get closer to your faith.
Yeah, and absolutely. So again, if anyone has any additional questions, you want to follow up with Hayes on a particular topic, you can do so. And of course, we want you to follow Push Past 10 because he's going to come back. We're going to have him back on a monthly basis because we have so many questions, so many concerns. Next year, we are blasting off with how do you prepare your children from a very young age, financial education for the younger ones. We're going to invite the ECCB, Mrs. Schumer John, to be with us so we can start to have that important conversation, because I want us to have the conversation from the point of view of the U.S. as well as the point of view of at home in Dominica and the Caribbean. And maybe if we have folks who are in England and Canada and there's someone who can provide us with some financial information as well, we would love to have them on. But we have a lot to cover. So we will talk, for example, about the top things that you need to do at the beginning of the year. So hopefully 2022 does not end as 2021. And not to say that 2021 is ending in a poor state for everyone. Some of us have done well because I was looking at the news and saw that many people have done very well during the pandemic, but to ensure that more people can do even better. So Heavis, do you mind if we take some more comments about the American Eagle situation? Because I have to tell you, the corrections are coming in and we certainly appreciate it. So we had Carla Amore, who recommended bringing on Mr. Colin Piper to the program to answer some of our questions. And absolutely, Carla, we would love to have him come and just address us and take the questions, because sometimes what I find with Dominica is we have a lot of media coverage where people just simply speak to the audience, and I don't get a sense that there's an interest in taking questions. Right? Maybe it's me, but I caught a glimpse of a little bit of the ceremony. I have to be honest, I didn't catch the entire ceremony yesterday at the airport, and I saw when Mr. Piper was speaking, but I did not stay until the end to see if any questions were being taken from the audience. So this is a great platform, almost 20,000 visitors a month. I think we have an audience that would appreciate an engagement with Mr. Piper or anyone else who has more information that they could share with us on this particular topic. And speaking of corrections, folks like Sabina said not 2 tickets. These are either prices in economy or basic economy. The trip will cost 742 or 800 depending on the ticket. So it looks like what we're saying here, and we stand corrected, and we're happy for that, that maybe the ticket is from wherever you are, and that would be great as well if we did not have to buy 2 tickets. But from my understanding, it was going to be 2 tickets. So I want to thank everyone for the corrections. I want to thank everyone for the information. Let's see what we have here. Maggie says, yes, I prefer to give the poor individually or someone in need. And she thanks you for your explanations. And you know, Havis, I was here looking at my phone for the comments, and the comments are right here. So that's a whole other story. Sabria, a lot of people give property, assets to their church in their will. You would be surprised, and not necessarily wealthy people. Once they aren't being coerced, I don't see an issue. And I agree, because I think you said it best, Havis, that, you know, a lot of times the church becomes the family. So it seems only right that if that is your choice, I mean, let's face it, people have left everything to their cat in their will, right? So why not leave it to the church and pray that the church uses it for good, right?
Yes, I had a client in Henrico, Virginia, back in 2007, 2008. She had about $900,000 in mutual funds, stock bonds, brokerage accounts. She had about 23 cats, and that's who she was leaving all that money for. Now, from a fiduciary point of view, I couldn't say, adopt me, ma'am. You know, my mother, my father was still alive, but I would have told them they have to. But the point I'm trying to make here is people do that. And, you know, because some people, that's their life. Family members, you know, have passed on, or maybe they were not nice to them, and people do that. But all I'm saying to you, to anyone who's thinking about that, do your due diligence. I'm not opposed to giving. You know, you got to return tithe and the offerings in church. I do, and I think everyone should. However, you know, as I think about it, you know, it would be nice if you can leave some money for your religious institution that you actually believe, a faith-based institution that you actually believe that's doing real good. And for example, this is what you could do. I think people might be more open to this, Doc. Set up scholarships, trust, right? And then let's say you're a Roman Catholic, right? You say Notre Dame, University of Notre Dame, or Catholic University in DC, American University, I mean in DC. There's a Holy Cross in Massachusetts. So it'll go, because you're a Roman Catholic, you want them to go to a Catholic university. If you're a Seventh Adventist, Loma Linda University, Oakwood University, you know, Washington, you know, Adventist University, or whatever. What I'm saying to you, Andrews University, what I'm saying is you can do that. You know, there's Baptist universities, there's all kinds, you know. So if you don't want to directly, you know, live for a church, you can help kids in your neighborhood. If you're a Dominican, set up scholarships in your village. You know, I'm saying if that's what you want to do. Right. I'm just saying, you know, and that way the kids can go to high school and then post-secondary education and pursuits.
Yeah, and that gives you better control over exactly what your money is going towards, because you leave it to the church, and then what? The church has so many options in terms of what
they decide how to spend it, right?
Right, but that gives you better control. And I keep forgetting to mention that we're also live on YouTube. So for anyone who's not on Facebook now, you can join us via YouTube on Push Past 10. So just want to make sure the audience shares that information. Let's see, Clyde Gregoire. It has caused a lot of people to leave their children without anything while they gave all to the church. That is not right, Clyde. I agree.
I agree. no matter what your
Sabria.
child did,
Right.
there's some people. I had a client, gosh, awesome client. And this woman, she went to HBCU. She was a retired educator. And whenever she had an argument with her sister, her niece, God, she was, she keep, I want to change my beneficiary. She always was changing it. And, I have 3 kids and a wife. And do they tick me off? Yeah. Do I tick them off? Yeah. But they're going to be my beneficiaries, period. You know,
Mhm.
and that's it. I'm not going to change it because they tick me off about something. But
Mhm.
there are some people though who have family that they say they have friends who are closer than family, and that's an individual thing. If you don't want to live it for anyone specific, like I said to you, scholarships. Do you like,
Mhm.
you like pets, your local pet store, for people, to get pets spaded. I don't know, whatever it is that you want to do, buy bikes for kids. Like, I don't, do kids ride bikes now? I don't know. Don't buy them PS4s, tell, help them get some insurance or
Mhm.
something towards their future, you know.
Right.
So that's what I would recommend that you do.
And something else I like about our Facebook audience, they always give us great suggestions. So Sabria says, is there anything we can do to reduce the amount of tax we pay Uncle Sam next year? Maybe a topic you guys can explore next year. Sabria, you'll be happy to know I wrote it down
Oh,
as a topic that we will explore next year because I think it is a good topic. And then Brother David said lots of families do that kind of stuff. Sad but true. Yeah, so Hayes, I want to thank you. I want to thank you for being here. I want to thank the audience for being here. It's amazing how quickly an hour goes by, right?
right. We didn't even get to our questions, but that's certainly fine. I, I,
Yes,
I think talking about the American Eagle was a good thing because
yes.
we have a lot of Dominicans in North America, and based Miami area. I have friends there. I have family there. I mean,
Mhm,
I have a sister down south of Jacksonville. I have a nephew right outside of Miami.
mhm,
So I have friends and cousins. So I think it's a great thing. And
mhm,
sometimes, Doc, what we want to talk about is not necessarily what we actually end up doing. But we
mhm.
thank you for the corrections, folks. And again,
Yes.
we will continue to talk about financial concepts that's going to benefit you, especially with tax season coming up. There's ways that you can limit and even eliminate taxes if you structure it properly.
Mhm.
And that's what we specialize in.
Yes, and I want to end on this note. And Brother David, you took the words out of my mouth. Please try to get someone from American Airlines one night to talk about all of this, see what we can come up with. I completely agree. So, again, if anyone is in touch with Mr. Colin Piper, anyone from American Airlines, who would be more than happy to take our questions, our concerns, just to have an engagement on this very important topic. And again, we say congratulations. This is a good thing. This is a good thing, but we have to have conversations and we have to have questions answered just for clarification. Just for clarification. So I want to thank everyone who showed, such passionate views this evening about this particular topic. Don't forget to follow us as we continue to educate, inform, and entertain, because next year
Yes,
we will be doing some entertaining
yes, yes,
for 2022. We just
yes.
collaborated with, the Houston Afro Music Festival, Creole Festival, and
Great.
they have an audience of 141,000 followers
What?
on Facebook. So let's see what we can use that platform to do to help to support our talent in Dominica. So I'm very excited, Mr. Glenn Bannis. Thank you so much for accepting the invitation to collaborate with you. And let's see what we can do. Havis, you got an even bigger platform to promote Badui Financial Services. We're taking you all the way, and we thank you for your support.
You're welcome, Doc. You're welcome. And we thank you to all the listeners and people like and share. That's what we do with this program so someone can see and talk about it. And Doc, I like how you said that even think about it, even in families, there are sometimes stuff that's kind of taboo. Nobody wants to talk about. No matter what, at the end of the day, we're all Dominicans, right? And
Mhm.
it's good to have conversations, even the uncomfortable ones.
Yes.
It doesn't have to be party line. It has to
Mhm.
be conversation where we
Mhm.
talk about issues. And And if someone's wrong about something, correct us, and we were happy to do that. We're not saying that we are the experts on what happened. We were just saying that based on what we know, we were flying from Puerto Rico before, which was
Mhm.
actually
Yeah, and I'm happy that we all bring our passion because it shows our love and concern for our country. So
Dominica.
I'm happy that
Yes,
we all bring our passion. But the one thing we always do is respect each other.
that's right.
And that is the basis of this platform. We can come and disagree and say, this is not right, and you're giving the wrong information, and this is the correct information. But we respect each other. And this is what this program is all about. Tina, nice to see you. Please remember to catch the replay. If you missed any part of the program, don't forget to share the live. And we will be back. Havis, if I don't talk to you before Christmas, have Bon Noel. Have a great season. Enjoy the time with your family. As for me, I am off this program for the last 2 weeks in December. So
Yes.
I will be spending time with my family in New York, and I'm looking forward to it. So everyone, have a happy holiday. We will still be here next week, but Havis, I will see you back in the new year, and we will continue this important work.
Peace.
All
One
right,
love,
take care.
everybody.
Have a good night, everyone.
Good
Thank
night.
you for being here.